All right, this hour on Gail Scott Key's Entertainment Now. You better seat and get buckled in for this one. My former co-host, Agustin Rodriguez, who is also a very talented actor and has left an indelible mark on the cinematic landscape as he portrayed a gang member in the critically acclaimed film Falling Down, showcased his versatility and ability to bring depth to complex characters. Ooh, what a mouthful. With a career spanning notable roles in Strange Days and Generation X, Rodriguez continues to captivate audiences with his compelling performances. If you haven't met him, let me introduce you to my former co-host and newly married Agustin Rodriguez. Show that ring. Show that ring. You put a ring on it. She put a ring on it.
She put a ring on it. Yeah,
Of course.
I am thankful. I am grateful.
I'm so happy for both you and Gisele. Our love to her. Thank you so
Thank
much for letting your husband come on. Your husband. Ooh, that's the first time I've said husband. Isn't that?
that. Yeah, I'm still no. Today, I'm not exaggerating. Today, I thought to myself, man, wow, I can't believe I'm married. I can't. It's like
She's doing
it's
that. She's like, yeah, let me tell you, she's doing the same thing. She's looking at that bling and going, ooh, he put a ring on it. Holla.
just to put shades on it. She's like, well, I,
Let me tell you folks something here, okay? First of all, my husband and I, Dan and I, had the blessing to attend their wedding. And as we were driving to New York to attend their wedding, I'm listening to Prince, okay? Let's Go Crazy in the car. And my husband's just like, oh my goodness, if you're going to play this again. And I'm like, yes, I am. Did not know that my sibling sort of synergy was working because who comes strutting down the aisle to Let's Go Crazy is Augustine.
ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to this thing
To
called.
witness something like woo woo.
I had. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that funny? Isn't that
High five. Oh, that's how we roll. That's how we roll.
we got to. You got to. Life is fast. You just have to live it full out. And yeah. I wear my shades because I'm looking at your beautiful blouse. It's like bling bling.
But see, it's like Hollywood because you're such a star. You bring it and it's bling 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 bling. So,
I see star. I'm like the shine is coming from over there.
well, if you have to put on your sunglasses, I will put on mine just as much. But I have to tell you, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for so many reasons. I know that this is a truly remarkable time in your life, not only because, getting married and everybody just being there in that moment for you and Gisele and just seeing how beautiful you are. But let's talk about when it comes to acting, all who follow you. You've worked on diverse projects, my dear, like Strange Days, Generation X, like I said, and of course, the smash cult film that I love that I was watching again, Falling Down, with award-winning actor Michael Douglas, with whom you recently saw again after all these years. What was that like? Where did you see him? Let's spill the tea.
Yes. Okay, let's spill it. I was about to show you. Say, look at this picture, but I'm on my camera. I'm on my phone. But I went to a screening. A friend of mine produced this documentary, and went to the screening in New York City. And then they're about to play it, and up there. First of all, it was about Ban Ki-moon, who was the Secretary General for the UN. He used to do that. He's just world leaders. This man he's up there. He is speaking before his film is playing, and he's like, "Yeah, we're so honored to have Academy Award winning actor Michael Douglas here." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I had prayed for that. I prayed to I was like, I would love to reconnect with him or see him again, and just, that would be cool after all these years. He's right over there. So as soon as I'm thinking to myself, as soon as this is over, I'm making a beeline over there.
See,
And I
prayers
think
work. Look at that.
they worked. And I pulled my camera out. I had a shot of us of that still from that scene that we had where he's sitting on the rock and we're giving him a
Yes.
hard. I'm pretending to give him a hard time. I don't give people a hard time, right? Well, I don't give people. so
No.
so so he I walk up to him afterwards. I said, "Hi, Mr. Douglas." I said, "We worked together a long time ago. Let me just show you. This is the picture. This is you, and this is me." He's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." And then
Wow.
Then yeah, and I thanked him. I got to just thank him for my friend got some pictures as I'm talking to him
Oh
and I
my
posted
goodness.
it, like I got to thank him for just the opportunity, to being on there and to work, with him. So thank you so much. And then I leaned in, I couldn't help it. I said, I still think you're trespassing. So because that's because that was the line in the movie. If you see the movie, you know what I mean. So yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Oh my
I
goodness.
see the fans like, yo, what's up with that briefcase? What's
He gave you a smack down. We're gonna play if you haven't seen this film, what are you living under? A rock? I mean, it is like the best. I was watching it the other night. I'm still laughing. I'm like, there's my friend getting beat down. Who would have known? Who would
Don't
have
give it away.
known?
Don't give it away. It's like, but I come back. No, but here's the thing. I have to say, I tell everyone, whatever kind of belief they have, I say this to everyone. I said, listen, this is before I was a Christian.
Yes,
Later
yes.
on, I was in ministry. So you're gonna hear some colorful language if you see the original version on that in that scene. And I don't use since then. I've not used. I don't use profanity. I don't do sexually
Yeah.
explicit. There's certain things I just choose not to do. For example, there are actresses who don't want to take off clothing or do
Right,
certain things,
right,
and
right.
that's fine. Everyone respects that. So,
That's right.
and there's certain actors, the same A-list actors actually, who won't kiss anyone who's not their wife.
That's
They,
Denzel
they
Washington, from what I heard, is one of them who does that.
exactly. Denzel, yeah, Denzel a couple other people. Anyway, but yeah, and me.
Any, yeah, because you will get a smackdown worse than Mike Douglas. Let me tell you.
I'm like, no, no, no. Say, oh, well, you're just pretending. I'm like, no, no, no. By the way, there are other scenes and other projects where I did have love scenes, and she's like, oh, she gives me a hard time. My wife is she's like, it's
Yeah,
like,
I don't
oh,
blame her.
look at the scene. You're like, I'm like,
See?
they use tell her, I'm like, they used the stunt man. No, no, no.
Oh,
I think
oh, they did a double. That's right. We'll get the double on. We'll prove it to you. Absolutely. But you know something? First of all, thank you for saying that, because you are such an inspiration to all of us. Myself seated here doing, I've done broadcasting. I've had the honor of interviewing Betty White and so many other stars. And here you are. So you know something? It's incredible, because when people see you one way, that's how they'll always portray you. They forget that there's a life, and that you have a belief, and that you also will hold that dear and near to your heart, which is awesome. And one has to ask, my dear, when watching the film, of course, what was it like working with such a powerhouse, Michael Douglas, and director Joel Schumacher?
Yeah, as Joel Schumacher, my gosh, Lost Boys, right? Batman and Forever, a bunch
Mhm.
of other like just, amazing, amazing, iconic films and amazing filmmaker. Joel Schumacher we felt so comfortable. He was so welcoming. He was so just like we just had a blast. And then to work with Michael Douglas, and I tell everyone, I'm like, look, it's like he's one of the best actors I've ever worked with. Like we're rehearsing, and there's certain scenes, we're rehearsing, we're practicing. There's no camera around, and I really believe he is truly terrified. Like he's living it. He's working.
Wow.
I mean, this is who he is. He's an amazing. We've seen him in amazing things. Oh, let me mention this.
Yes.
So he's been noted. He's been quoted saying that his favorite character that he has played. I mean, he's done Wall Street. He's done,
Yep.
all these amazing films, right? And that is his favorite role in Falling Down.
I
That
saw
is,
that too. I saw,
yeah.
did he say why?
I don't, you know what? I don't know why, because there's so much, it's so full. There's so much he gets to do. He's so vulnerable. He's so, intense.
Well, do you think it could be because, and this was going to be leading into another question for you, because when you think of what's going on in the world, that inner you wants to scream and behave like that, leave your car on the freeway and all of that stuff. Do you think it must have been a freeing moment for him to say, you know what, I'm going to be me?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. There's a lot that's in us that we would he'll in the film, the character, says and does things that a lot of people wish they could say and do. It's very
Mm,
much a commentary for in a lot of things as far as, social class, race, economic, status, like a lot of it is mentioned in the film, but it's done so well.
Yeah.
Robert Duvall is in the film. I mean, it's just Barbara Hershey. There's some really amazing actors in this, and I think it speaks to some part of us that we want to say that, and it still stands to this day. I think it's
Yes.
such an iconic film, and it really is a cult classic. Like people
Yep.
do this. Oh wow, I love that film because it's kind of intense. And oh, by the way, Joel Schumacher, there's that scene where we're circling him, but I don't want to give it all away, boy. when I first meet Michael Douglas in the film, and there's this particular shot, we're kind of circling around him, and that's his favorite shot. That's one of his favorite shots, like it just stays in his mind of many of his films. He's like that's like my favorite one of my favorite shots I've ever shot. Um,
You,
so
it's like the perfect storm of the social issues that we see today, unfortunately. And when I say perfect storm, it's like, how do you handle those? And you had every nuance in there, and especially the drive-by shooting scene, which some will claim it's iconic. I know, but you know something, if you haven't seen this, I mean, this movie is like, it's been out there and everybody has got to have seen it. But let me ask you this, which no one has talked about, perhaps. Can you share any of the behind the scenes stories for filming that? Because
yeah.
that's like that was painful.
It's funny when you said that painful. Yes, when you said you're saying like drive by, which shooting. I mean, it was full of action. There's so much fun. I had to do my own stunts, and I'm grateful that I was trained and I've taught martial arts in the past. So I'm familiar with just I know my body and how to move around and how to be careful. And they told me so behind the scenes. So the stuntman told me, they said, listen, be careful because Michael's kind of intense, meaning like he'll really like gonna go after you. He's gonna try to. So I knew how to prepare, and it was a lot of fun. Everybody, it was safe. Everything was fine, and it was you watch the scenes, they're intense. There's a lot that's going on, but it was just it was professionally done, and it was just a lot of fun. Let me see behind the scenes. There's a shot, I won't tell you where I'm like kind of laying down and
All
I'm
right.
talking to him, to Michael
Mhm.
Douglas, and he I was when you shoot in film, I was pretty much laying down all day and laying down on the job. And then of course, you had makeup and special effects things, and I had to go to lunch looking that way. That's all I'll say. You got to check it out. I know people can just go right to YouTube and say, don't cut that. Watch the whole thing, please. We need you'll appreciate it. You will.
Yes, you
From the
will. Yes,
it's
you
intense.
will.
There are different parts that people remember,
Yep.
and they all remember that scene. So yeah.
Now, of course, Michael Douglas is iconic, but Robert Duvall is equally iconic. Did you ever have a chance to speak with him? And Barbara Hershey, I love her.
Yes, I did.
And
Yes, my scene was just with Michael Douglas, which is just amazing already. But I got a chance to meet and speak a couple times there with Robert Duvall. Very nice gentleman. We talked about salsa dancing. It's like takes his wife out in New York. He's very much a very, I don't know, I guess gregarious and really just fun guy because very nice. And I'm so bummed because I took a picture with him and I'm like, a couple of years ago I lost it. I'm like,
ah,
but that was an honor. I mean, come on, this is the Godfather, great Santini. This is Robert Duvall. Like, are you
well, you
kidding?
pray about it, and it'll probably show up again, just like when you asked to, run into Michael Douglas. So, see, obviously it works. So we'll be crossing our
I'll
fingers on it.
put that on my list here. Pray
There
to
you
see.
go. There you go. But you know what's awesome? You all are not acting, even though you're called actors. When you look at it from a perspective of someone viewing it, and you can't tell that they're acting, that is exemplary. That is what I call award winning. And all of you being in that scene, and for you to be pulled into that scene, what challenges have you personally faced as an actor in Hollywood, and how have they shaped your career?
That's a good question. Well, what challenges have I personally faced? And I think about, well, I got to think about what happened. I did around that time. I shot Mississippi Shot Falling Down. There was Final Analysis Falling Down. This is all in the early 90s. Final Analysis with Richard Gere, Kim Basinger, Uma Thurman. So that was I got to work with them. I'm just very blessed that I've gotten a chance to work with these amazing people and you know, Final Analysis Falling Down in '93. I was a regular on Moon Over Miami for ABC. So
Yep.
working with with the wonderful Ali Walker and Bill Campbell, so beautiful people. Love them. They're super just, again, I've been blessed to work with really genuine, nice people. Um,
You're
and
nice and you're genuine, so that makes sense.
uh,
Get what you give in this world. Mhm.
Oh, thanks. And so in '94, I had a change in my life, I had a spiritual change and an awakening, and I was curious about the Bible. I became a Christian, and so therefore there were changes in my life. I'm not trying to play church. I really wanted to live this out. It's no judgment on anyone else, but people choose to do their things and they choose to let things into their lives and into to influence them or not influence them, and they choose to do that, right, for their own personal, emotional, mental, spiritual well-being. So I respect that, and therefore when that change happened, some people didn't really take it so well. I've had twice, I've had in all these years, I've had people that represented me just say, you know what, this is not going to work.
That's it.
Normally I did work for years after that. I did. And I remember my agent, Michael Schlesinger, I love Michael. He was so supportive from the beginning. And he said, wow, I really admired what I was doing. I told him I wanted to be in the ministry and that was my focus. He would still send me out according to whatever I wanted to do. And he would let me choose the projects. Um, but yeah, that's what but again, it was hard because there were certain folks that either didn't understand and said, well, I'm not, what does this mean? That means you're not going to say these certain words or take these certain parts. But here's the thing, I have to say this because something I didn't do this. I don't think this way. I don't think, oh, how many roles have I done? But I kind of did inventory a couple years ago. I got more work after '94, after I did more work as I worked with Mickey Rourke, with Eartha Kitt, with just, amazing people after that. I did Generation X, which was recently was interviewed for Generation X is a TV movie, Fox movie that was in '96. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll
Yeah.
see it. It's the first Latino superhero, which I got to, be
You're
him,
so
play.
young. How old were you when you did that?
I, well, I'm playing a teenage mutant. Like I was a teenage werewolf. I was a teenage mutant. And we have a special guest, by the way. I didn't tell. There's a special guest coming in here, and
Oh my goodness. That dude's got bigger hands. Those are the hands that popcorn hands. Those are popcorn hands.
again, this is Angelo Spinoza. This is the character in Generation X. See the little X-Men belt. See that?
Look at that. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's a comic book, very famous, popular comic book, and still people are it had a following. Look, let me tell you, I would go to like comic book shops and I was just out of curiosity, said, yeah, and that's yeah, I played this character. They're like, what, your skin? And they would show me the bootleg version. They don't do that anymore, but
Yeah, yeah.
the movie, it was a TV movie back then before it was on DVD. So before now everything's
Mhm.
digital. But yeah, that's yeah, how
That
do we
is
get on that?
so cool.
Yeah, that's how everything went from like it just went up and up. I mean, as far as me, I had to, had certain guidelines for myself, personally, spiritual, like as we all should, right? Because it's going to keep us healthy.
Exactly.
And yeah, and it's to be, respected. I respect other
But
people.
it's
They decide
freeing
to
also
do.
to be true to yourself. I mean, Hollywood and films are where you do make believe, and that's where you have to separate it. And you've done that in such a wonderful way that it's inspiring. And the thing is that people don't hear what you say, they see what you do. And so
Mhm.
you lead with integrity. And that leads me to, with all the work that you have done, you've also directed and worked as a cinematographer. So, how has that influenced your acting approach?
Yes, I did. It was I actually let me see how the quick version of this. And back in 2009, and this is part of the story. I was going through a very hard time. I was going through a divorce. It was a the most painful time in my life, and I don't wish it on anybody. And during that time, I was separated at that time in 2009 and summer. My friend comes to me. He's like, "Yeah, I want to do this film. I'm working on it. I've been, writing it, and it's based on it's called Metal Gear, so it's based on a video game. So got
Yes.
another project, and and he's like, yeah, I want to finish it by the summer. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking, I'm gonna he wants to finish writing it. No, he wants to shoot it. I'm like, listen, if you want to shoot this, you should do X, Y, Z. So he, I'm advising him. I'm just talking. He's my buddy, and he asked me to direct Danny Kennedy. He's really amazing, talented director, writer, actor, very talented. He just won an award for his screenplay for another project. And so
Yes.
Danny is writing Metal Gear. He asked me to direct, and then as we're going along, he's like, "Well, you're kind of bringing a lot of elements to the table." So he asked me to produce. So I got to act, produce, and of course, when you got like a shoestring budget, you got one shoestring, and that's it. So I'm painting props. I'm doing, and I got to do some cinematography and kind of do the line up the shots. And let me tell you, this is a funny moment from there. So here we are shooting a scene where we're like, yeah, I want you to kind of come around like this. See, I have a visual arts background. I went to school visual arts to be an illustrator, so that's visual pictures and composing a picture is my background. It's what I love to do. So all my worlds came together on this project. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is my all my experience as an actor, mostly in front of the camera, but you pick up all this stuff. I would imitate what I learned, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We need department heads, even though it's again small budget. So we do this. So in one scene, here we are shooting, but this is you're a cinematographer here. I pick up the camera. Okay, I want it to kind of go this way. How do you turn this thing on? So that's so that's the director. That was the director saying that. So you don't have to, which leads me to another point. If you're gonna do a project, you don't want to wear too many hats. I really didn't wear too many hats for
No.
that. Directing, producing, I called in other producers, the line producers to be on there and do things and form department heads so that it runs well because it's just not it's not possible. Otherwise, it's going to look like you're like this. It's just so. And we actually won some awards. Best action shorts, best a bunch of different. We were nominated for 9. We won 5. A bunch of different
No.
local film festivals. It was small. It was something
Hey,
but yeah. Now we want to. If I knew then what I knew now, it would not look like that. It would look so much better and be so much better.
but that's okay because that's where you get to grow from yourself in all of those aspects. I mean, that's like any of us. I mean, the first time I was on a mic, I was just like using hook words. And if I would have known then, well, like I know now, I didn't do that underwear image because that's like, but you just build
Yeah.
confidence because
Oh,
of people.
imagining people in their underwear, so
Yeah,
you're
right.
not nervous.
That's
Yeah.
what they would always say, and all the stuff of like, you just get more and more comfortable. And I mean, I was interviewing Minnie Driver, and so many stars that I'm sitting there now going, wow, I got more confidence. Joan Rivers, I remember Joan Rivers when I interviewed her on the radio, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm interviewing Joan Rivers. And she was as nice could be. She actually was like ganging up on my co-host. He's like, "You be nice to her." And I was like, "Oh, I love her and miss her." But it's like it builds your character and then you pay it forward because now you know. But I mean, learning what you know, do you have any aspirations to direct more films in the future?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It's a lot of fun. Working on that project, I wasn't in it, and I really wanted. I should have put myself. We worked with Evan Courageous. He was a former WCW wrestler champion, and
Ah,
super another nice guy. And there were a couple fight scenes in there. We had a professional, Mike Muyero, a dear friend of mine who's a former world karate champ and black belt in about 4 different arts, and he choreographed. So there was a couple really interesting fight scenes. I should have put myself in a fight scene with Evan Courage. That's what I really wanted to do. But as far as other than that, I mentioned that because I wasn't in it and I didn't miss it at all. I didn't think, oh, I'm never gonna act again. No, it behind the scenes was a lot of fun as an actor to help bring the best. And I've taught on camera acting for a lot of years, so it was a lot of fun to bring the best out of people and bring things together and surprise them. And
How do you bring the best out of people? I mean, when you get raw, do you get people who are like, oh, I know how to act, and then you got to like help them say, you don't, you got to learn this way. How do you, I've always wanted to ask that question.
well, you know what? It really is. You, Morgan Friedman said it the other day. I was listening to an interview, and he says, a good director is a good. And I didn't plan for this to happen, but how it's a good casting director. So you have to know who you're choosing first. So it's not like you're teaching someone to act. Of course, sometimes you're working with very new people that are new to acting, or maybe they're not actors, and then you have to work with that. But you prepare. That's all in the pre-production. You prepare, you rehearse. We rehearsed a lot. We really put it, and it all came to being. So bringing the best out of everyone. We all have experiences that we can relate to, things that so it's choosing the right people, and then they're just treating people with respect,
Mm,
valuing them. um that's the best way, because then we had a great atmosphere there were a couple of tense moments because there's a lot of pressure, right? When you're doing this, you have a little budget, a little bit of time, a lot of people together, a lot of personalities. But in the end, they saw, like my buddy, Danny Kennedy, myself, we're both executive producers, apologized to each other in front of everyone, because there were certain things that were not organized as well, or there was, some bumps. But we wanted to make sure that everything was out in the open, and we wanted that they were valued, and that it really meant something, and that we valued them being there.
that's a great thing to hear because have you ever had or have you ever frozen when it's like action and all of a sudden you're like,
I've been on
what?
I've been on stage. I did several plays in New York, right? Back in the day, back in the right before I left to LA, late 80s. And you're like, how old are you? So I'll give you a hint. When I did Skin, I played a teenage mutant. I was 29. Yeah, I was like so right now, this isn't really my face. No. It's I just turned 58. So I'm like,
And you're not getting tears out of this 55-year-old, right? So don't even.
I
I,
ain't gonna be there for you, boy. You gotta, but yeah, yeah. These are my real teeth. No, I
I'm borrowing
so
your wife's teeth. Come on.
what question?
God, we're so
You see, you said, have you ever forgotten or went up on your lines? What is the question?
bad.
Yes.
Well,
Hence, yes.
yes.
Los años no vienen solos. That means the years don't come by themselves. No, I was up on stage. I remember being very nervous, and when I would get nervous, I started knowing myself. When you study acting, you get to know a lot about yourself and about people. I learned that I get nervous, my mind goes blank.
Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
happened, like, and I'm just kind of going with it. So it's happened a couple times on stage. Not really. Uh, In front of the camera, not really. Not, I think especially with more, I don't really feel nervous. I stay so focused. At the beginning, I would focus and stay focused, and I kind of had to do that because I would be starstruck sometimes. You're working with amazing people, but you stay
Yes.
focused, true to the moment, what's happening, and you'll do it. I got to work with Rafe Fiennes, and I mean,
Really? Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah, it's Schindler's
Oh,
List, the English Patient,
yeah.
just Harry Potter. He played I forgot the bad guy he played with no nose. He played some evil-looking snake-like character, and Rafe, he had done he had done some amazing work up until that point when we worked together, and I'm like, this man is amazing. I'd like admire this man so much, right? He's Academy Award winning man, actor. And here we are working, rehearsing again, very down to earth. He's like, we're working on the scene. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking this. I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, and we were like two actors just working out a scene, like we were doing theater. And Catherine Bigelow directed us. Catherine Bigelow directed Strange Days.
Yep.
Her ex-husband, James Cameron, and Catherine, to her own right, she's an Academy Award winning director.
Yep.
So just very, again, that was, let me mention this. For that film, it was a feature film. So you have a lot more time to do things. Usually with feature films, let's say like Falling Down, you get there on the day, you kind of walk through it for camera and for the crew, and then they set it up and you go from there, and that's your rehearsal. You have to work on it on your own. Here, we rehearsed for like a few days just on the acting. Nothing stunts you kind of work on beforehand, but it was just on the scene. So for days before we shot, usually it's not like that. So kind of fleshing it out. So I really liked that, and it felt like that. It felt like I was doing a play.
But
Uh,
you're so, you say how you admire who you've worked with. I know I am so sure because I've had the blessing of working with you. You were so captivating in such a heartfelt way that they were probably like putting their arms around, going, I'm sticking with this guy because he is so down to earth and he keeps me humble and he knows where it's at. And that's why I'm sure a lot of them, I'm sure they would all say the same thing about you. I would place money on it. They would probably say, with anybody they've ever worked with or had to be on a set with, they would want to be with you because you just captivate people. And it's not for show, it's the real you. I've seen you. I mean, you work it and you do it in such a natural, admirable way that people can't help but fall in love with you and say, wow, this dude is so cool. And that's why what leads us up to the next thing is what you got going on. What's coming up in the future?
yes, yes. First of all, Gail, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, we worked together. We got to do a lot of really fun things and interview a lot of folks. And thank you so much for the opportunity of doing that, and introducing me to a lot of folks. And we just had a lot of fun doing it, and we've become good friends since then. So I so love you and Dan so much. And I was so happy to see you there. By the way, guys, this is during COVID when we got to know each other, work together, and we never met in person. The very first time was at my wedding when we got to see you and just hold your hand for like 2 seconds as I'm walking down the aisle as I just got married. I'm going like, oh my gosh. But it meant so much. It's
That
such a
was
gift. That
that
was
was
such a,
amazing.
you're
It was
right that we did that. Yeah, that it was, we'll never forget that. It's like, that's
I, I
a,
purposely, when we were moving, I purposely went towards the aisle, not even thinking, I'm like, something, I just want to be close enough to see you and your beautiful bride. And here he comes down, strutting his respectable self, and he's just like, what? He's like, and he's just like, hold my hand, sister, hold my hand. And that was just such an amazing moment. And everybody that was there was every type of friend who in family who just truly, truly, what I loved, and I'm going to say this before he announces what he's doing next. Take this to heart. Okay, this is someone who's worked with all of these stars, all of these big movies, as you've heard. This is how humble my dear friend is. He said at his wedding, put your cameras down and take in the moment. Take in the moment with us. Don't put your cameras up. There are other people who are going to shoot the shots for you, but connect with us just
Mhm.
without any type of camera in between. And I have to say, that humbled me and everybody because we are now a society where everything you see, like last night, Dan and I saw this big glowing light coming out of the sky falling, and we didn't know what we were seeing. And of course, he's like, film it. And I'm like, my phone almost went out the window in my arm with it. And I'm like hanging on and stuff. But you forget, put the camera down and take in the moment so that you'll never forget it. And I want to personally thank you and your beautiful bride, Gisele, for telling us to do that because it does mean more. It does mean more. This is hence why people love working with you. So, my friend, tell us.
Oh, No, thanks, Gail. Yeah, we definitely had somebody announce that we wanted everyone to be present and that we're shooting pictures, we're doing all that. And there were people taking pictures afterwards, right? But we wanted them because you know what it is. You know how it is. You're at an event and and we're busy documenting it and checking it and the angle and my selfie and
Get to
we're not
embrace
really
it.
attention, right? We're not, or like it's really sad sometimes. You go to say a family event or friends event, and people just like after just a few moments, they need to be stimulated, I guess, and start getting on
Yeah.
their phones. And you see 4 or 5 people, each one on in front of their own television, their TV, right? But not being there with each other. Recently, I had a couple of friends that passed away. I just heard of a dear friend of mine, Nasty Ness Rodriguez, who's in the music industry. Dear,
Yes.
such a humble man, and it makes me think. I wanted to mention him because I just really appreciated him so much. And I say all that to say that it's important to just be there with folks. Yeah, we'll take pictures. Yeah, we'll look at stuff and we look at videos. I like to look at videos and funny cat videos. Yeah, whatever. But we want to be here with each other. There are friends, young friends I've lost that we had in our family, we had like 10 deaths
Yeah.
in our family
Yeah.
during the beginning of COVID. Not from COVID, from other things, but
So sorry.
um that's a whole nother story.
Mm.
But yeah, let me get on to the good. I don't get into grim. You know me, I get serious.
But it's you. I appreciate you. This is again being real because everybody can miss these points because they don't really know. But then when you share that, they're like, that's relatable to me. Someone could have just lost their parent or a loved one, and then they catch this show and they're seeing this interview with you, and they're like, wow, here's someone who I would put on this pedestal, but you know what? He appreciates being right where I am to be relatable. And that's why I adore him even more. So this is your platform. This is where you shine. So you speak your heart, my dear. You speak your heart.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Gail. So I only have 7 more points.
Yeah.
Gail, no. It's like, yeah. So no, I'll mention the things that are coming up. I got so here's what happened. June, I get married. July, I get cast in a feature film, like a leading role in a feature film, a thriller called Fettered, Fettered, and it's Daylight Supreme. Dimas Salabarios, amazing, amazing man. I really admire this man, like what he's done, his work. And that was the second time I got to work with him, and yeah, it was really he reminded me. Remember, I talked about our set when we did our film, and we wanted this atmosphere. They had such a family atmosphere, and he's very relatable, down to earth, never not preachy or religious. He's a former minister, but doing amazing and gritty work right now, but yet still holding on to his convictions. And so you'll see that in this movie, Fettered. You'll see
When is it
like
coming out?
in the next couple months, it'll be right now. It's in post production, and also I just got an email from Candy Candice. She wrote and directed um, Heavy Hitters. So it's this series that's about it. It will soon be picked up. She's just shooting a whole bunch of episodes of it. I got to work on it. Had a scene in Spanish. Nelson Figueroa. He used to be a pitcher for the Mets and a few other. I think the Atlanta Braves and a
Yep.
few other. Super nice guy. And we shot that also in August. We shot Fettered in August. 3 weeks ago, maybe three weeks ago, I shot an episode of Law and Order that'll be on April 13th. Yeah, back in there. Back. I'm not running from the cops this time, or am I? So that'll be on. I've guest starred on Law and Order 3 times,
I'm gonna
and
say,
this
yeah.
fifth time, yeah, they'll and completely different characters each one. So they'll do that. Okay, Law and Order, they're a friend to the New York actor. It's like you get a chance to to do something. I see a lot of my friends on there. Um, but yeah, that's what's going on so far. Yes, and I get to be here with you on the Gail Scott Keys.
I'm honored.
Now,
I'm honored. My goodness. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. That's like crazy. That is so great. You know, when you think of your life, when you started being in this business, and they call it the business, did you ever think your life would turn out like this, or what are you still expecting?
No, I didn't. I mean, I've gotten to work on some big films and, made some money. I'm gonna say that's the reality, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's you, it can be feast or famine.
yeah,
I like feast better. I like feast
yeah.
because famine is it can be rough. It can be rough in many ways, and really, you know, um, yeah, it's just I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm so grateful. I want to get a chance to continue doing this. Yeah, continue to collaborate with people and create our own projects. I'm always in, and I worked on a couple during COVID. We worked on a couple of private projects, so people creating their own opportunities. And a lot of times you have to do that, and
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, think about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, right?
I
Rocky, right?
interviewed him.
People wrote their own or produced their own thing. Mariska Hargitay is a producer on a Law and Order
Yeah.
Special Victims Unit. A lot of people do that. We see, people do that in front of the camp, behind the scenes, and making it happen. Tom Cruise is you know one of the producers on
Telling you,
his
I
own.
think I'm gonna meet him one day. I keep having these weird dreams about Tom Cruise. It's like an interview, and it's been for years. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know why I keep having these visions of Tom Cruise, of me talking with him, interviewing him in some capacity. So who knows what's going to happen? I've never told you this before because I'm thinking I am cuckoo bananas. Because the man is like so up there. He would like be like, Gail, who? What? What? So Tom Cruise, I'm just saying, I'm here. I'm gonna
No,
do
no,
you.
I think it will probably happen. It's not
Well,
it's not far-fetched. Yeah, yeah. He's
first of
he's
all, interviewing you, that is the peak of it all. Okay, that is the peak of it all. Tom
no
Cruise,
no. The highlight for me is what you're wearing, girl. What you wearing? It's like
I
what?
and I got my prayer little band. So when you were talking about pray, see, that's how we stay connected. I keep it real too. I pray. I pray that someday I will finally be making it. No, I mean,
No, no, definitely. I can see that happening. It's like here we are doing our thing, and I believe there's certain laws like the law of gravity, like the law of there's so many laws, right, in nature, and the law of reaping and sowing. Like whatever you sow, you will get. If I go outside and put orange seeds. I'm not going to look for a grape tree or an apple tree, or I don't know if they grow in trees or bushes and or an apple tree, but whatever we put out there, it will come back. So
well, you know
coming.
not to interrupt you, but you just had me. I remember a long time ago when my friend was dating this guy, his friend looked exactly like Tom Cruise. His name is Chris, and everybody in the Lowell area, Lowell, Massachusetts area who's watching this, they'll know who I mean. I have a picture of him. I have got to send you. He looked exactly like Tom Cruise. I'm like, can I take a picture of you? Because I know you're not Tom.
In your dreams, it's been Crystal. It's been,
Okay. He was like, cuckoo bananas, go.
but
You're right. When you have that heart and you really, things come to you.
I
You
mean,
know,
they say that they people may say, "Oh, this is karma. Or this is like," but it's a spiritual law that whatever you put out there, it is better to give than to receive. It is
yes.
whatever you put out there, you'll get back whatever you know. And so, as far as like, I don't worry about, and I have to say this during these interesting political times, right? I'm just gonna say this. It's like, um, that really is true. People will either receive and experience consequences here and now or later. It's like, so people don't get away with it. We think, oh, this person, this politician, or this billionaire, this look, and there are a lot of people that do a lot of good things, evil things, but I don't sweat it. I don't let it, but in our circle, in our lives, all we can do is our part, and our part can go really far. How we treat people around you, at your job, in your family, your community. I mean, and then yeah, that can really magnify, and it will, you can be a thermostat or a thermometer. Thermometer will respond to the circumstances, or be a thermostat and set the tone,
Yeah.
and do wherever we are, in what little ways, little
Wow.
kindnesses, you know?
I was just talking about this to Dan. I was just talking about this. I was like, you know something? With every type of energy, good or whatever, go out there and be, forward and helping others. Just say, what can I do for you? Or strike up a conversation with someone that you never thought you would. Or just, how are you doing today? There's just so much going on. And with the time that we have, I am just so grateful that you have your feet grounded and that you're so dedicated. And you are such an incredible role model for anybody who is watching it, especially my niece who wants to be a professor director. She's doing all of that. She's aspiring to be so. What kind of advice would you give to the younger generation and the younger Augustine from when you go back and you look now? What would the advice be that you would share today?
To the younger generation, or to the younger me. The younger me is like, don't be a knucklehead. Just don't be don't be a follower instead of a leader. I got into some trouble as a teen. I was sharing that with some teens today, how um what I would give to the younger generation, just generation. You don't have to be an actor. You could be whatever it is that you want to be, um, to really be it, like really do it all out, and be aware of what is. You may not be aware. I wasn't aware of what is influencing me or what is shaping me. We think when I was. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I didn't know. I thought, oh, I was 7 years old. I'm going to parochial school. I'm trying to private school, and I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, I wonder, what will I be when I grow up? I guess I'll get a job like at an office, because that's what I saw on TV. I didn't know what kind of
Yeah.
career were. I didn't know that you could make a living. And I've never had a full-time job. I've
Wow.
never had a full-time 58 years. I've never had, I've worked at, I've done a leadership training, after school arts, worked as an actor, worked construction, all kinds of painting the wall, like building manager, like all kinds of stuff. But I say all that to say that as a kid, I didn't know, and it doesn't have to fit the paradigm or the framework that we're kind of like programmed, like, oh, you have to just get a job and work for someone else. You can have other people work for you. You can create your own opportunity. I have a former student he was in my acting class, and he's a YouTube influencer. He's a YouTuber,
Mhm.
Kareem Jovian. He's so talented, and I'm so proud of him. He's worked really hard, but it's very unorthodox. It's very different. He decided not to go to college, but to work at his craft, and
Yeah,
he is doing it.
that's
So
awesome.
it's very different. It's very different. We don't have to fit the mold of what we think. It's like really, life is short. It's not like, oh, I just want to do something that's easy or something that is safe and secure. Because as we know, during COVID, unfortunately, job security was not what we thought it was. Like,
Yes.
whoa. And then a lot of
Yeah.
people did that. Things were so, immediate, and people were scared and it was life threatening. They're like, you know what? I don't like my job. I'm quitting it. I'm going to do what I really love. People
Yeah.
did that during that
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
That
You
is my
you
advice.
could do that. You could do that. It was like I remember growing up in the 80s. You just gave caution to the wind and you said, I'm doing it. And I thought I was going to be living in New York. And I was like, and I also thought I was going to be an oceanographer until I saw that first whale in his big mouth. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So
no, I ain't going to be Jonah or Jonette. I don't want to be swallowed by the whale.
is that true? That is the truth. Oh my
But
God.
I say, let me just wrap it up with this thought. I really, for me, my journey was this. I went to art school, and that was fine. I was like, wow, I wanted to be an artist, a freelance illustrator. So that's kind of different. It's not just like a job or like,
Right.
so here's the thing. I started acting right soon after college. I took acting classes in college, and then afterwards, and it just kind of went in that direction really quickly. Now, not everyone has that trajectory, that journey. You have your own journey. that's another piece of advice that you don't have to compare yourself with anyone else because you have a vision that no one else has. They won't understand. They're not meant to understand. It's like they're not you. They haven't walked in your footsteps with your family, with your experiences. Every human being is different than any other human being. There's
That,
every human being. This is not like I'm not making it up. This is everyone who's lived. There's no one that is like anyone else.
Mhm.
Even if you look alike, same culture, same no. No one has had your experiences. Again, your fam impossible. Impossible. So I say all that to say that just it's your journey. So just live it and live it full out. Not safe, not 10%, like, oh wow, I'd live 10% of my you know,
Mhm.
my potential. It's like, no, just go all out. Why not? Why
Yep.
not?
Absolutely. Well, talking about going all out, I know all of us will be following you and we will be going all out on social media platforms. So, where can people follow you who want to follow up on all of the films, the TV stuff, and everything that you're doing? Where can we go?
Right, Instagram, right? It's Augustine.nyc. Let me spell it because it looks like Augustin, but I never like that pronunciation. And in Spanish, it's Agustin, but some people get confused. So I confuse people by saying, my name is Augustine Rodriguez. I like Augustine, like Saint Augustine.
See,
It's
he's talking about how I was because I was like, "Is there an E at the end of this?" And he's like, "No, no, there is not." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
like Austin,
Interesting.
Uncle Steve, what's your name? No. So it's spelled this way on Instagram, Agustin.nyc. Or on Facebook, you'll definitely, or IMDb, you'll find me right there. So, and you can get in touch with me through my Talent Connect. I'm
Yeah.
with Ronald Woodall, Ronald Wink, like wink your eye. Woodall at Talent Connect. You'll be able to find him there or talk to him or Prudence. Prudence is amazing. Prudence Paez is like,
Are you talking?
girl.
Yes. Augustine, thank you. It is so wonderful having you back, even for the little bit. I mean, we know you're a hot commodity, but you are so humble, and I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you, and I am going to be watching. And of course, you'll be coming back. Of course, I can't do this show without him. He knows
Oh, thanks. I'd love to. I'd love. It's always a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun, and we have the best time all the time.
all the
So.
time. So make sure you join us the next time on Gail Scott Key's Entertainment Now.